Hi everyone, and welcome to Paper Pumpkin Week here on Creative Chelsey. This week I'm going to share with you some great card ideas that you can make with one set of supplies from this month's kit. Today I'm sharing with you my second alternative card using the February 2024 Paper Pumpkin kit called Sweet Springtime. The projects from this kit are perfect for this time of year. It creates a total of 6 greeting cards, 3 in these 2 different designs, as well as 3 gift boxes. If you would like to watch me unbox the kit and create these projects, you can click on the playlist in the top right corner. Today's card creates a cute little springtime scene using some of the products from the kit, mainly one of the envelopes. And I'm really excited to share with you some fun little tips. If you are new to my channel and would like to continue to see all of my paper pumpkin alternatives, make sure to subscribe using the link in the bottom right corner. I would love to be your Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. If you're interested in getting your own paper pumpkin subscription, please use the link in the description below to subscribe. Let's begin by talking about the things you need from the kit. So you're going to need the frame, and you're going to need the pink checked envelope, as well as one of the bunny die cuts and one of the daffodil die cuts. So let's start with our envelope. I like to begin by removing the bottom edge and then the sides. And I just cut off the smallest amount to remove that folded edge so that I can use both the front and the back sides of the envelope. So for the pink checked, we're going to do a full card front. So that's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So let's go ahead and rotate it and cut first at 4 1/4 to remove the flap. And you'll want to hold on to this because we'll use it on a future project. And then you can rotate again to cut 5 1/2. Okay, so that piece will be on our card base. The next piece we're going to cut is the frame. And from the bottom edge where the grass is, we're going to rotate that and put it at the 3-inch mark. And then we are going to carefully cut it at 3 inches. So we're going to cut these sides. So do this really carefully and gently. Make sure you have a nice sharp blade, or you can make a mark and use scissors. Okay, so from here, we're going to do that. So that's 3 inches is how tall that's going to be. And we're going to use those 2 pieces together to create a smaller frame. And then from the back side of our envelope, we're going to cut this back piece. And we want that to be 3 1/4 by 4 1/4. So I'm just going to trim off one of these sides. So I just trimmed right where that curve kind of ends. And then we can rotate this to 3 1/4 inches. So now we have all of our straight sides. We'll remove this curved edge and then rotate again to 4 1/4. Okay, and so now we have this kind of a light crumb cake color for our background behind our frame. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we are going to stamp these daffodils on this gray light crumb cake color. I don't want any stamp to show along the outside edge. So I'm going to use some sticky notes, but you could also use just regular paper to kind of cover this up. So I'm going to go about 1.5 inches into my, from the bottom right corner. So about 1.5 inches in. So I'm going to make a little mark on my paper here. So right about here is where I want to stamp my flower. And then I'm going to do the same thing over here on this side. And this is about 2.5 inches from the top. So I'm going to just make a mark on this and then measure 2.5 inches. So that's 5, So 2.5 is about there. Okay. So just so you know, let's go over this again. The reason I'm covering up a little bit, so it's just a small little bit, it's about 1/4 of an inch or so from the edge, is so that I don't get any stamped images along this outside edge here. And then the reason I made the marking is because that's kind of where I want to place my stamps. So now that I've done that, I'm going to go ahead and ink up my flower with Early Espresso ink, and I'm just going to stamp it in those areas. Okay. So you can see here that if I wouldn't have had the Post-it note, I would have stamped along that edge because it does come down into that space. And then over here on the flower side, or the left side, we're going to do the same thing. Ink it up, and you'll stamp it so that about the top of the flower sits at that 2.5 mark. Okay, and again, I would get in that space. So hopefully that makes sense. And when you remove it, then you have a nice clean edge there. The first thing I want to do is actually layer the bottom section over the top section. You could flip-flop that. So what you're going to see is a little seam here at the top. That does not bother me. So I just want you to know that that's what it's going to look like. If you want to get really clever, you can try to make it more seamless. So on this top piece, I'm going to add a little liquid adhesive to the sides, just a little bit. We don't want it to bleed around and make a mess. So just a little bit there. So the adhesive is on the left and the right sides, not the top of the top piece. And then we're going to take this bottom piece, line it up with the top edge on each side, and just make sure that it creates that rectangle shape that we're looking for. And you do not want any of the bottom piece to show, so make sure that they are nice and even. And once it's in place, go ahead and add some pressure to smooth out the glue. And then you have this frame here. And then we can place this frame onto our background. And I'm going to add just a little bit of liquid glue. I don't need to do over the whole thing, but just maybe in the corners, a little bit in the center. So once I have that on there, I'm going to lay that on top with a little border around it. So the border will be about 1/8 of an inch all the way around. So definitely keep that in mind when you're adding this to that background piece. And once it's in place, go ahead and smooth it out all the way around. Okay, so it's going to look something like this. Next, we'll take our 2 die cut pieces and add some dimensionals to the back. I'm going to just add a dimensional to the head of the bunny and just a little adhesive to the bottom. And then for the flower, you can just add 1 dimensional to the center. And the flower goes over here on the right side. There's this long leaf, and we're going to turn that into a stem by adding the flower to the top of that. And then the bunny is going to get tucked underneath these 2 side leaves on the left side and go all the way down. You can also pop this one up if you want. Go all the way down to the frame and adhere that in place. So it's going to look something like this. And then we're going to now add these things to our card base. So for my card base, I have a piece of thick basic white cardstock that's just been cut to 5.5 by 8.5 and scored at 4 1/4. And then I'm going to add my envelope. Do you remember we cut this down to 4 1/4 by 5.5? I'm going to add that to the front, and it should go all the way to the edge on all sides. Smooth it out. And then we're going to pop this up with dimensionals because we love those layers. You can place one in each corner and maybe one in the center to just provide that support. This paper, because it does come from the envelope, is a little bit flimsy, so we do need that extra support there. And then that just goes right in the center, like that. And then we're going to cut a label. And again, I used the label from the Love of Spring dies. So that label there, you could use any label that you have, a punch or another die cut. You could even just use a strip of cardstock if you don't have a label. And there is my early espresso ink. I cut it from some Petal Pink Cardstock because that's the color of the background plaid piece. If you don't have that color, then use, another pink color, or even yellow or green or white would work as well. And I'm just going to stamp the greeting right in the center of the label, like this. And I'll pop that up with some dimensionals. And the dimensionals do come in the kit. You may run out of them if you make all the cards that I made. So you may need to, get some other form of adhesive. But you're just going to go ahead and tuck that underneath the bunny and the flower. Make sure it's on there nice and straight. And then the last thing we're going to do is add some of the embellishments that came in the kit to our card. And I'm just going to use a large and small one up in the top left area, and then maybe another small one. Where did it go? There it is. Down by the greeting and the flower here. Super cute, quick, simple way to create a fun springtime scene for your card. I hope you enjoyed watching me create this alternative card with the February 2024 Paper Pumpkin Kit. If you're interested in getting written instructions or seeing close-up images on how I created this card, you can visit my blog, creativechelsey.com. Thanks so much for watching. Have a creative day. Bye.